Hi. Oh, yep, it's on. Okay. Hi, I am Erika Stanley. I work at Big C, which is a digital marketing agency from the faraway lands of St. Petersburg, Florida. It's about an hour and a half up the road, which means yes, I am used to this weather, but nope, that doesn't make it any easier. So. I'm technically an account manager, so that's my title, but at Big C we don't have dedicated project managers. So myself and Kristen, who's here in the audience, we are the account managers on 2 cross-functional teams, and we also operate as project managers. And those of you who were in Dean's session yesterday, we learned that those are wildly different roles, and yet we do them both, we juggle both. We have a really good mix of clients, just so you guys have a little bit of background. We do about half big projects, website builds, and half marketing retainer clients, so on a steady marketing strategy plan type of thing. And today, I'm going to talk to you about one of our website projects in particular. But first, a little clarification, courtesy of my mom. So I am really excited to be here. This is not my first time speaking, but it's my first time speaking in front of 300 people. Thankfully fewer, because it looks like some people have gone home. But so I texted my mom. I'm like, hey, I'm really excited. And look, I'm right after the snacks. Didn't realize it was going to be ice cream. That makes it even better. But I'm right after the snacks. And I get the typical mom reaction. I get the heart emoji. But I talked to her once I got here. I'm like, hey, I checked into my hotel. I got here safe. We're good to go. And she's like, oh, that's so cool. You're a master of this Agile thing. I don't know what that is, but your father and I are so proud of you. So, little clarification. I am not the Agile master. My client is the Agile master. So if you were sticking around hoping to hear an Agile master talk about cheese, that's not this session. So it won't hurt my feelings if you guys decide to leave. But that's not what we're going to be talking about today. So thanks for that clarification in my copywriting, Mom. Okay, so a little background. I want to talk to you guys about my first AM/PM experience. So years ago, my very first account management role at an agency. And there was a senior project manager there. His name was Dave. We've all worked with a Dave. He was a fastidious project manager. His attention to detail was unlike nothing else, from grammar down to every little pixel. And Dave was a bit of a nightmare for some of our developers and some of our designers, because his favorite thing to do was he would get up from his desk and he would walk over and stand right behind the designer and say, hey, I see you have that file open. Can you take out that comma? It's not supposed to be there. Or, hey, I'm thinking these images aren't aligned. Can you look at that last one? It looks like it's about 2 pixels off. He was that good. And it drove the designers crazy. It drove the developers crazy. But me, just learning the ropes, I understood what Dave was doing. See, it was his job to deliver excellence to our clients and to deliver it quickly and efficiently. So even though the team hated it, I kind of understood what he was doing. So some of you might be cringing. You may know people who are like this. If you don't know someone like this, then potentially you are the Dave on your team. But what he was doing is the very first tenet of Agile. It's people over processes. So, oh, I have a clicker. I don't have to hit my button. But at the time, I had no idea what Agile was. So my very first encounter with Agile, I went to a conference called Inbound, HubSpot Inbound Conference 2016. Has anybody here been to Inbound? Yay, a couple of hands. It is it is a second-rate conference. Not worth your time. This is where you want to be. No, I'm just kidding. It's phenomenal. And I got to go to a session called Agile for Digital Marketing. Didn't know what that was, thought it sounded cool, so I just kind of wandered in. And the session was super inspiring. Just like many of you guys will go home to your own offices, inspired to implement something new that you learned here today, I went home from Inbound wanting to implement Agile with my team. I didn't know exactly what that meant or what it was going to entail, but the little taste I got at Inbound was the catalyst that I needed to start doing research. So we've all seen this, or maybe most of us, some of us have seen this photo. So this is from agilemanifesto.org. When you start doing research, this is like the first thing you see. It looks kind of like a photo of the founding fathers huddled over the Declaration of Independence. I don't know if that's intentional. Having met some of these guys, I think maybe it was intentional. So I was doing a bit more research, and I found this. So these are the exact same words, but this was designed by an agency right down the street from my house called Big C. Spoiler alert, I'm at Big C right now. But I was not at the time. So I found this, and I was so excited. This was my desktop background on my work computer at my other agency for a full year before I joined the team at Big C. But it was so cool. I thought like, okay, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Like this was at direct odds with what we were doing, but it was what I knew we needed to be doing. Like the heart and soul of this was what I knew we needed to be doing. And there were a ton of frustrations that my agency was fighting at the time, including frustrations for me as the account and project manager, including those little bitty changes. All needed change orders. We were supposed to have official change orders. Contract technicalities. When we could easily just make something right for a client and the level of effort was real low, we were settling back into like, well, what does the contract say? And then holding white-knuckled to these strategies and these plans because, damn it, it's the plan. We're gonna stick to the plan. And it drives the clients crazy, and it's hard for the team, and I knew there had to be a better way. So I found this, I decided Agile was gonna be my solution. Big C was gonna be my life raft. It's the solution to everything, right? It's the solution to everything. But in reality, Agile is really hard to follow to the letter, especially when you're managing a lot of different projects with a lot of different timelines, different scopes, different budgets, everything. There's a lot of moving parts. And even agencies that want to be 100% Agile will find themselves struggling to do so. Processes are super important, and clients want to know that you have a plan. So now I'm at Big C, and we have found a way that makes a way to make Agile work for us. And I wish I could say we figured it out on our own, because we are all brilliant, but we did not figure it out on our own. It took a swift kick in the pants for us to get there. So one day, we get a call from this guy who's like, hey, I was doing a bit of research. I discovered you guys are an Agile agency. I want to work with you. I want you to build me a website. And we're like, okay, that's cool. That's what we do. We build websites, and we're Agile. You know how we know we're Agile? Because we work in sprints. So this guy on the right is who came in to see us. He's like, you're Agile. I'm Agile. We're Agile. Turns out this guy was one of those guys. He was literally in the room where it happened, and he wanted us to build him a website. So, who is Dr. Alistair Cockburn? So, a little background. He is, as Brett mentioned, he's one of the originators of the Agile Manifesto. He's basically paid the big bucks to go around and teach really big companies how to implement Agile with their teams. He's the real deal. So luckily, Dr. Alistair Cockburn, you've come to the right place, because we do all these things. We do all these things. But we had no idea what we were in for and what we were about to learn. Because we were using a lot of the Agile processes. We were checking a lot of the boxes, doing all the things, but we didn't really know why we were doing them. We had all of the systems and none of the heart. And Dr. Cockburn's company is called the Heart of Agile. And this is his framework. We collaborate, deliver, reflect, and then improve. And you do that over and over and over again. So, being the good project manager that I am, I started setting up Alistair in our systems. So, teamwork for communication. Welcome to Big C, Alistair. You've got your first teamwork message. Trello for project planning. Hey, look, we use Trello. It looks very organized. And then the email notifications started coming in because, as we all know, as you set up projects, every new system starts to send more and more email notifications. There's two kinds of people. How many zero boxers do we have out there? Awesome. I am not one of those people. I'm the one on the right with all the unread emails. As PMs, we get a ton of emails. It's something you have to learn how to manage. I found that there's one of two. And Alistair hated the zillions of emails he started getting from all of our systems. Like, this is not working for me. So he came in, and this is something that we do with every client. I'm sure you guys do it with your clients too, where you have the big client kickoff meeting. We call ours the wayfinding workshop. And he came in, we had done a bunch of research, we had put together personas, we did a survey with him and his team and the key stakeholders. We had a ton of research, we presented our findings, it was glorious. And the whole time, he was completely disengaged with the process. And he told us that he wanted to know what his project was going to look like. And not the like, okay, so here's the copy, and then here's the design, and then here's the development, and voila, you have a website. That's not what he meant. He meant, what is the process of my project going to look like? How are you going to get from part A to B to C to that final voila, here's your website, but it's not your final website because we're Agile, so we're going to do it again and again and again. He wanted to see the shape of the project. To which I responded, well, Alistair, those are rectangles. Like, that is the shape of your project. That's not what he meant, obviously. So just like a 80s sitcom, you can see where this is going. There are going to be big lessons we're going to have to learn in all of this. We had to change all the things. Because here was this guy standing in our office, and here we were claiming to be the thing that he actually invented. So if we were going to do this, we were going to have to make some drastic changes, and we had to learn to be agile with how we were being agile. Okay, so a little confession. I am not a fan of change. Oh, wait, yep, so we're going to have to change all the things. Not a fan of change. I am a fairly organized, disorganized person. I know where everything is in the multiple piles of things on my desk. And as project managers, it can sometimes feel like we're Gus here. We've got it, we're good, we can handle a ton of stuff. But you throw that one last thing on our stack, and the whole thing falls apart. The other analogy I like to use is that we're juggling flaming chainsaws. Like, we do this, and it's great, and we've got it. You try to throw even a single tennis ball into the mix, and you're done. Sometimes that extra piece of cheese, that extra tennis ball, sometimes it can be just a rogue client request. In this case, it was going to be a big change. It rocked our world. So in the 90s, there was this book, Who Moved My Cheese? That's one of my key phrases is don't move my cheese, or was, I guess, before this project. I don't say that anymore. But yeah, don't move my cheese. I like things how I like them. And I will assume that as project managers, you guys are probably in some way can relate to that. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. What we had been doing had been working. So we were all a little bit resistant to the change that Alistair was bringing to the table, but we were also committed to, okay, we've got this great opportunity to work with this guy who's going to teach us a lot of things. So we had to learn to do things a little bit different. For this project, to get to the heart of Agile, we had to make some pretty drastic changes. And it has trickled down literally into every single project we've managed since then. We launched about 6 months ago, so it's every project since. Okay, so I want to walk you guys through the 3 main changes that we've made, and they're all things that you all can do and implement a little bit at a time. Don't take a picture of this. This is the bad, so this is the before. I'm just kidding. Take pictures of what you want. But this is the before. This is the bad. So the way that we did project planning before, we would start with research. So before our kickoff, we'd do research on the client. Then we would have the wayfinding workshop. We'd get insights from the kickoff meeting from our clients. You learn a bunch of things. You have all these conversations. You learn things about your clients' personas that you wouldn't have thought of. It's a really, really valuable kickoff. And we take those and we put together the project plan, and then voila, aren't we majestic? We have this beautiful project plan, and it's going to look exactly like this at the end of your project. We're going to stick to it to the letter, right? No, it doesn't work that way. The way that Alistair taught us to fix this was we had to make tasks tangible. He wanted to see the shape. He wanted to see what his project was going to look like, not design look like, but the way it was going to come together. So he taught us this thing, which he called blitz planning, which we weren't real excited about because it sounds super aggressive. So big C, ocean, we call it project navigation now. So we started by writing tasks on actual physical index cards. So we all know that there are a bunch of things, maybe 70% of things that go into every website build. You're going to have to build a header and a footer. You're going to have to set up a dev environment. There's all of the, you're going to have to design the homepage. Like all of these things that happen with every website project, those all get written out onto the cards. Then things like design a homepage get broken up into smaller, more digestible tasks, because design a homepage is never just design a homepage. And we all know that. We put design homepage into the project plan, but we all know that it's way more pieces than that. So we break all those into smaller, tangible cards. And then we lay them out on the table in the order in which they're going to happen. Because again, there's a certain rhyme and a reason to what we do. When clients come to us to build a website, they are not expecting us to start from scratch every single time. We come with the experience, we come with the knowledge that's going to get them steps ahead. This is part of that knowledge. We know the order of operations. We know what it's going to take to complete their project. So we lay everything out on the table. And you can see Alistair actually, we had a jar of pins on the table. And so he started pulling the pins out of the jar and putting them in between. Those became our sprints. Like week 1, and he put down a pin. Week 2, and he put down a pin. Week 3, oh, that's 4th of July week. Is anybody going to be on vacation? Yes. Okay, so let's move that pin back. We know that we're not going to be around for the whole week. So it was this really cool exercise that we did with him, and it was the pins, and we're physically taking the cards and moving them around. He had a budget, and he knew he wanted to fit certain things within that budget, so there were the must-haves and the nice-to-haves. He moved the nice-to-haves over to the side, and the must-haves stayed on the table. And then we combined our 2 systems. So the tangible had to work with our existing system for our teams not to lose their collective minds. So it had to go into the system that we were already using that everybody's familiar with. And you can see how we have things laid out in sprints, just like we had them laid out on the table. So every section in between the pins became a column on Trello. So yes, we are digital project managers, but you can still embrace the tangible. There is power in the tangible, power to moving those cards physically around on the table, to writing on them. We had almost the same exact information digitally that we had on the cards, but it felt so much more real having it on the cards. Same information, delivered 2 different ways. It felt so much more real on the cards. Okay, so here is a time lapse of our latest project navigation. This literally took place last week. It took about an hour, and you can see all of the cards coming together on the table. From the very first, we're going to start with your homepage copy, all the way down to launch and client website training at the bottom of the table. Okay, so you can see this is the shape that Alistair was talking about. So we have 3 main columns. You can kind of see the main column in the middle. That was our copy section, and then design off to the side of that, and then development off to the side of that. So the 4th column, the one all the way to the left, that 4th column, this is really, really key. Sitting on that side of the table was our client. So that 4th column were our client cards. You talked about this, Catherine. Kat. About having buy-in from your clients and how important it is to bring them into your schedule. This is that. So we are creating cards for our client as she's sitting there. So she sees, oh, in this week, you're going to need my feedback for this thing. Oh, in this week, we're going to need to have a meeting so you can present all the other cards that you've been working on for the previous weeks. It's a really powerful thing because the client is sitting right next to those cards. And when we move something in the project plan, she moves her cards too. Again, it's that tangible that we don't get with digital. We don't get by moving a card around in Trello. They are physically taking their own responsibilities and moving them around on the table. It's really, really powerful, and it allows them to see how they fit in with the bigger picture of the project. So, of course, at this point, so 6 months ago was before, we've moved on from pens. We now have official printed sprint markers. We're bona fide. And you can see the time estimates in the corners of the cards. So with cross-functional teams, we make sure that the designer who's going to be on the project, the developer who's going to be on the project, the content strategist and copywriter, the people that are actually going to be producing the things that will be needed to bring this project together are in this room creating these cards and putting their time estimates on these cards. So I know this sounds scary, like, oh, we're going to be held to this 3-hour estimate. But remember, we've also broken things down into micro tasks. And so it's easier for a dev to say like, oh, it takes me about an hour to set up a dev environment, rather than, oh, I have to estimate the whole onboarding and everything that goes along with that. Like, no, we're gonna break this down into little manageable bite-sized pieces. So this is also where we introduce the concept of the weekly sprint to our client, because we know what that means. They have no idea. So they understand how we work. Oh, hey, I have this idea on a Thursday. We're not going to be able to work that in until Monday, so they get that here. And this is that time-lapse project laid out so we have migrated over to Asana at this point. So you can see it laid out in Asana in the exact same way that it was laid out on the table. So you've got sprint, sprint, sprint. But then I want to draw your attention down to the second column at the bottom. Those 2 cards with the purple tags, those are client cards. They're on our Asana board. Our client is in Asana. So when it's time for her to review a document, we put the link in it, we tag her, and she knows there's a deadline on that card that she is supposed to approve the thing by this date. And then she sees all the cards after it that will be affected if she does not approve it by that date. So, benefits of this first change. Client education and greater transparency. Like I said, they're learning our terminology. We have to learn so much about our clients. Different industries, different industry terms. This is like the one opportunity that we have for them to learn our terminology, our nomenclature. So they learn what a sprint is. They learn what a copy doc is. Oh, you guys are going to work in Google Docs. You don't want me to send you a Word document version 2.7? No, send me things in Google Docs, and here's why. They also see the interdependencies of a thing. So you have to approve this design before it goes to a developer. I have to approve that before you can even send it to you? Yes, you have to approve this before we can send it to a developer. And here's why. So it opens up that communication. And that's all this is you are being more communicative and more open, transparent, and educating your client in this one 1-hour meeting. You're reinforcing the partnership. So at the end of this hour, or hour and a half, for bigger projects, your client understands that we are all in this together. We are creating the thing, but we can't do it without you. Your feedback, your approval, do you like this design? How's the voice on this copy? Like, it reinforces that partnership. And then finally, hooray, it stops scope creep before it happens. This has been huge for us because you get halfway, and I've heard it over and over again this weekend. We are all in this same crappy boat together, you guys. We are all here together. The client comes to us and they're like, hey, I have this great idea. And you're like, we launch in 3 weeks. We can't do that idea. Or we can, but here is the impact. And so them being able to see the physical cards on the table, like they know all of those interdependencies, there is this moment. And it was, I think, the second or third one that I did. And I drove over to the client's office and we had all the cards laid out, and it was the must-haves and the nice-to-haves and the things that can wait. And there was this moment where I saw it click, where it was like, okay, here's our budget, and we've got all these things in the must-have column, and we've only got this much budget. And they had to pick up the card out of the must-have and move it into the nice-to-have. The client made that decision, fully understanding what that meant. And it was this like light bulb moment for them, like, oh, I'm not gonna get all the things I want. They're nonprofits, they were on a grant, so they had a very strict budget. We couldn't have budget contingencies. They had to fit it within this budget, so we had to move things. Okay, change number 2. We learned to be truly collaborative. So we thought up to this point, we collaborate with our clients. We use Google Docs. We open up the permissions on that Google Doc so they can leave comments. Yeah, collaboration. We send things to them for approval in teamwork. We can send messages back and forth. Like, that's collaboration, right? Like, we're gonna send emails back and forth. And then we meet with them and we present at a table, side by side, collaboratively, or video call for our remote clients. This was not truly collaborative. Alistair pushed us and what our meaning of collaboration truly meant when he asked just this single question: can I pop in and knock out these revisions? He lived a block and a half from our agency, which is a blessing and a curse. Can I just pop in and knock out these revisions? So you guys remember Dave, my senior project manager from my very first agency job. I did not want to do that to my team. I did not want my designer to have to go through not just me, but a client standing behind her, pixel pushing. I did not want to do that to her. I didn't want to do it to the developer. Like, oh, can you just, that phrase that we all hate. Can you just do this? No, we can't just do this. No, you cannot just pop in and knock out these revisions. I fought it. Once I stopped fighting it, the magic happened. So this is Alistair working with our team. So we've got our design director on the left, and then working with our one of our managing partners and our developer on the right. There are some smiles, there's some frustration. And before just popping by, this would have been like multiple emails, back and forth over weeks. Each of these meetings just took like 30 minutes. So we knocked it out quickly. So how have we translated that? Because not every client lives a block and a half from your office, right? So how have we translated that into how we work with our clients day to day? So we use InVision and Figma, but this example is InVision. Our design director just had designed this basic blog archive page to go to a client. And then she scheduled time. It wasn't a phone call, it wasn't a video or a screen share, but she just scheduled time when they could both be logged in at the same time, and then they worked back and forth. Our client, Andrew, would leave a comment. Adriana would answer. If she had a question about something that he had a question about, and they worked on it for 30 minutes together. And at the end of that, she knew exactly what direction she was going to head in next. No emails, no waiting, just approval. So another example would be client QA. So again, it's a Google Sheet, very collaborative. I opened up the permissions on this for them to actually be able to change things, not just comment. It's scary. But yeah, so after we go through our whole long QA process and we get a site to like 98% done, right? Then you send it to the client and it is devastating because they send back to you every little thing that they see on that site that is not right. And you can see here, so we're at row 27, and this is not even like halfway down the client QA log. All the little things that they found. They sent you assets 10 weeks ago. Of course they've got new pictures of their leadership. Of course they had new headshots taken that all need to be replaced, right? So, but this happens all the time with projects. There are a zillion little things that need to be changed. So we had to change that process too. How can we make this more collaborative? How can we get in front of it? Now we use a system called punch list. How many of you guys have heard of or use punch list? Okay, just a couple hands. So InVision allows the clients to like click on things and leave little comments, but there's always been this gap of how do you do that with a live link, with a live website, because you can't just like with a website click on a thing and make a comment. Punch list allows us to do that. It's really cool. The clients don't have to create a login to do it. You just send them the link and they leave a comment. So if they have a question about something, if they don't like the placement of something, hey, why does this CTA button look the way that it does? We have the opportunity to answer that question right then, before it even gets further down the road, before it gets to QA. And we can do that collaboratively in real time, a page at a time. So we don't have to wait until the end of the project. At the end of the day, what we discovered is at the heart of this is that our clients just want to be heard and they want to be part of the process. So your client contact, whether they are a C-level or a marketing director or somebody that's just been kind of put in charge of this relationship, like they're really vested in what we are doing. And we, like the collective we, like they're super invested. We're all really invested in it. They're really invested in it too. And they want to feel part of the process. This tool and tools like it have allowed us to allow our clients to feel like they're more part of the process rather than the voila, here's your website feeling at the very end. It takes away that like big schnazzy reveal moment, but it's so much more powerful this way. So this was our latest client QA. We just actually got word this client had a baby today, so yay! And their website launches on Thursday. Big week for them. But we used punch list with them all along the way. This QA log was 6 items, 6. Because we had already filtered through all the little changes and all the little things that they wanted to do along the way, 1 page at a time, instead of one big list. And we were able to do that in real time. Some of them, we actually made the changes. Some of them were just clarifications on things that they didn't understand. But it was really cool. And this, I think, was a huge win for us. So, main benefits of better collaboration for you all. Fewer emails, because you're doing things in real time. So if you're in a tool and able to comment right there, there's 0 emails sent. You just fix the thing and it's approved, which leads to faster changes. And of course, that means that your clients have buy-in all along the way. So this is us. It's our team and our client, arm in arm, skipping to the emerald city that is the website launch. It's going to be perfect and glorious. Of course, of a different color. Okay. Change number 3 that we had to make, and this is a scary one, is we share early and often. So before, and many of you probably do this, is you take a task to completion. So you're going to write homepage copy, or your content strategist is going to write homepage copy. You guys are probably not writing it, but they're going to write it. They're going to sit down and they're going to type furiously and they're going to write that homepage copy and they're going to send it to the client and it's going to be great. Same thing happens with design. Same thing happens with dev. We work tasks to completion and then expect like feedback and responses from our clients. We email work to them for approval. You send off, you get to the point of completion, you send off the email, you're like, hey, this is ready for your feedback. Let us know what you think. And then you cross your fingers and you close your eyes and you wait some more. And then maybe you poke a little like, hey, circling back on this. And then you get the dreaded response, we're just not feeling it. Can you make it a little more punchy? And now we're the bad guys that have to go deliver that to the content strategist. It's like, punchy? What does punchy mean? But now that we're collaborating with our clients, change number 2. So now that we're collaborating with our clients, there's got to be a better way to do this, right? Because it's always going to lead to frustration with inevitable changes. There is a better way. And it's before I take this any further, we share unfinished work with our clients all the time, every week. Unfinished work we share with them. We sure do. Okay, so this is the Heart of Agile website. It is not one of our showcase pieces, but Alistair was really, really happy with it. Great collaborative project. It was exactly what he wanted. And this is the copy doc that goes with that. And you can even see the headline, a better way to work together, doesn't match what's on the website now. Produce better results together. And this copy doc is 11 versions later, which any of your copywriters, content strategists, like 11 rounds of revisions, that's insane. But they were all happening a little bit at a time. We would get a little ways down the road and then share, hey, this is what we're doing. I don't like that. Or, hey, yeah, this is good. Why don't we try this? So we shared all along the way until that document was filled out and until it was ready to go to design. It's not frustrating. It's not as frustrating as it sounds, at least. We share work early, so we know that the general direction is right. Here's a design example. This got sent to a client last week. This is in no way finished. This is in no way ready for client review, right? Like, we haven't implemented colors. We have placeholder images. We're like not quite sure how it's going to lay out. We kind of have a general idea, but this got sent to the client. It's less scary because we're going to ask them, hey, how do you feel about this direction? And if they absolutely hate it, which happens, then we have not gone very far down the road. Rather than going all the way in one direction where you've got this beautiful finished project that you're really happy with and the client hates it, you're only 2 steps in before you realize they hate it. So you only have to take 2 steps back and then you head in a different direction. So we're sharing early and often. Before we go too far, careening off the cliff. When you're sitting next to your client, by the way, and we've shifted away from just phone calls. We present in person as often as possible or on a video call because you can get a really good feel for how your client feels about something by the look on their face, their body language. It's like a gut check moment for both you and them. They're reading you, you're reading them, and you're able to make adjustments based on that. They may not be able to communicate because they don't speak design, but that's okay. You're able to at least get a feel for whether or not you're headed in the right direction or headed over a cliff. So, oh God, my timer can't be right. It says I'm 56 minutes in. Shoot, okay. And here I was afraid I was gonna go too fast. Okay, so main benefits. You're gonna limit frustration for both parties and you're gonna save time. Major caveat. This doesn't work for every client because some of our clients have worked with big agencies before where they do have the big reveal. So your client is expecting the big reveal and then they get the copy doc that's kind of unfinished. This is an actual quote from a client. Is this all you've done? I thought we hired a creative agency. Yeah, that was a tough one. But now we know that we can't do this with that client and that's okay. So we're being agile with how we're being agile and it's okay. So we are embracing the change. So I'm a metaphor person, like Matt from this morning. So a lot of my previous clients were in the home building industry, so I used to use a ton of building metaphors. So that's what my brain goes back to. And project navigation, so the very first big change that we had to make, is the foundation for all of these other changes. It's the foundation. It's been the catalyst for other changes that we've made. Again, we are being agile with how we're being agile, with how we're working with our clients. We're staying in constant contact with them. We are building bridges. You can build a bridge. You can walk out to the center of the bridge. They're not necessarily going to meet you in the middle, but at least you're making those connections and you're trying your darndest to connect with that client to keep things on task, on scope, on budget. We did it. Yay! Alistair thought we had done such a great job with his project that he certified us in the heart of Agile. So yeah, so this is us at the end of his project. He gave us little certificates, and it was great. He brought us Cockburn port. I didn't know there was Cockburn port, but it's delicious. And it's not about 100% adherence to the Agile principles. I mean, 100% adherence to the Agile principles is in direct conflict with Agile itself, right? We had to get back to the heart of it. We make it work for us. I think David's gone, but we're making the D shit happen. We're making it work for us. And luckily, we're making it work on budget, on time, and with a happy team. So that's it. Do we have a couple minutes? Okay. Who has questions about project navigation or about anything? Patrice, hi.
I also have questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Is it on? Okay. I noticed in your thing, like, and this is probably by design, I'm slowly welcome back to my thing, that there were no user stories that you showed. Because I know that's like the big, like there's a big thing about user stories and like they have to be this way. Did you do any of that? Like what do you do about that part?
We have a whole process, and that's, yes, it's not in the slides. We do user journey mapping. We do a ton of research there. After the end of our wayfinding workshop, where we establish, so we have a general idea of what their personas are going to be, and then we create them live with the client, because we can get it 80% of the way there, but we need their input. So we create them during our wayfinding workshop together with the client, and then it's part of the discovery brief that we give them at the end. It's like one of the main deliverables that's part of that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Oh. We have one.
Can you, where were you? Sorry, where was the hand here? Ready? You might need to catch it in between.
Super impressed.
Good throw. Very good throw. Since you already plan out the sprints at the beginning, like what you want to do in sprint 1, 2, 3, and 4, the way we do Agile, or like how it's like written down, you just go from sprint to sprint because you have a retrospective to just say, okay, all the tasks that we thought we might do in sprint 1, or we might need to readjust because we can do more or we can do less and so forth. But if you do everything at once, like how many times do you have then to fix your initial planning?
It's constant, and it is in communication with the client. So if something takes a little longer than we thought it was going to, we have weekly checkpoints with our clients. It took a little longer, so we're going to need to make adjustments. If we're able to, and with the client that just had a baby that's launching this week, we were able to get through things faster. We are a week ahead of schedule for them. So keeping that weekly touch point so that they know along the way what things take longer, what things we're getting through faster, has been really key. I haven't received a single complaint that like things are taking too long, because we tell them every single week, like, oh, we didn't plan for this thing to take 3 hours. We planned for it to take 1. So, yeah, it's been good. There's a kid out there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. One more round of applause for Erika.